You know, folks, I can't count the times that I've heard MAGA say the name George Soros. George Soros is the boogeyman in their world. And it's comical because I've always got accused of taking money from George Soros. They'll say, you get paid by Soros. That line honestly cracks me up because I'm not getting paid by anyone at all. This is my channel. We're doing this, this is us. But that's the way they love to go about it. They love to say that stuff. And I say, you know what? If I had George Soros's money, I would not be here with y'all. I would be on an island somewhere, just kicked back, just watching the waves. I would be living the life. I would have it made. I truly would. But they love to use him as the boogeyman. And now Donald Trump says that Soros should be in jail. And so that is really going to excite MAGA. They're going to be very excited to see that their boogeyman, according to Trump, should be put in jail. So I'm going to read you this article here from The Independent. It's pretty ridiculous that we're even having this conversation. But Trump says that George Soros should be in jail for supporting progressive causes. He's a bad guy. You know, it's not a crime to support progressive causes. I mean, that's just, the headline in and of itself is pretty damn crazy to me. Yeah, he should be put in jail for supporting progressive causes. Anyway, that just kind of stopped me in my tracks. But anyway, so Donald Trump said that billionaire George Soros should be in jail as he continued to threaten the 95-year-old philanthropist and Democratic megadonor. The president has baselessly accused the Hungarian-born Holocaust survivor and founder of the nonprofit Open Society Foundation of funding protesters and demonstration against his administration. And for everyone that says, you're funded by Soros, I didn't even know that about Soros. That's interesting to know. We're going to look into Soros because I think it's a RICO case against him and other people. Trump said on Friday on Fox and Friends, and he referenced his demand that Soros should be prosecuted for racketeering. Because this is more like protest. This is real agitation, he said. And in a brief phone call Saturday with NBC News, the president stood by his attack on Soros and suggested that he should be imprisoned. He's a bad guy, Trump told the outlet in brief remarks. It's not clear whether he elaborated any further. The Open Society Foundation funds progressive causes around the world with a focus on justice, human rights, and combating corruption in elections. Soros, with his affiliated super political action committees, is also one of the biggest spenders when it comes to funding the campaigns of Democratic candidates and causes, according to records with the Federal Election Commission. In response to Trump's latest threats, the Open Society Foundation referred to a previous statement rebuking the accusations as outrageous and false. The organization said the Open Society Foundations, founded by George Soros and chaired by Alex Soros, do not support or fund violent protest. Allegations to the contrary are false, and threats against our founder and chair is outrageous. Our mission is to advance human rights, justice, and democratic principles in the United States and around the world. We stand for fundamental freedoms guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution, including the rights to free speech, peaceful protest, that are hallmarks of a vibrant democracy. Last month, the group said, we do not pay people to protest or directly train or coordinate protesters. And folks, I have never in my life been paid to protest. That's like the craziest thing I've ever heard. Why are they that arrogant that they think someone would have to be paid to protest against their radical ideas? I don't understand how that would even be a thought. I don't look over at them. I see them, I don't think Trump paid the January 6ers to be there. I think they were every bit that crazy to go do that. I really do believe that they would die on that hill free of charge. So I don't understand their thinking on this. All Open Society grantees are required to comply with the law, and we expect our grantees to uphold our shared commitment to human rights, dignity, and nonviolence. The Open Society Foundation opposes all forms of violence, including violent protest. But following the killing of Charlie Kirk, Trump appeared in a video from the Oval Office and pledged to target each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity, including the organizations that fund and support it. And when I heard him say that, I was like, who? Like who is getting? None of us wanted to see that. none of us wanted this country to be in the shape that it's in, so who the hell are you even talking about? But Trump previously said that the liberal donors should face racketeer, influenced, and corrupt organization charges, that's RICO, designed to target organized crime and famously used to break up the mafia. Trump himself has faced RICO-like charges in Georgia, where prosecutors allege that the president led a criminal enterprise to unlawfully overturn the 2020 presidential election. The president's latest diatribe about Soros comes as the Department of Justice moves ahead with investigations into numerous Democratic figures and others who've expressed opposition in his policies. Last month, the FBI searched the home of John Bolton, Trump's former national security advisor and turned critic, allegedly for evidence that the veteran GOP foreign policy official had violated laws governing the handling of classified information, charges that Trump himself had also faced after leaving office. So, George Soros is the boogeyman, and everybody now has to turn their attention and go after him. Well, I just want to point something out as I'm sitting there reading that article and learning about George Soros as I'm doing so. I'm thinking to myself, okay, Trump's biggest donor was Elon Musk, who went on national television and did the salute and then tried to gaslight us and tell us that's what he didn't do. And if you go over to his platform, it is absolutely a platform of nothing but hate. It is one of the most toxic things I've ever seen, and the only reason why I keep an eye on it is to see what they're saying. We have to know what it is they're saying so we can try to be a voice of reason against it. But it's absolutely insane, the level of hatred that they have on their side. And it's always a knee-jerk reaction of they did this to us. They did it. Whereas when we see something happen, an unnecessary act of violence that should have never happened, when we see that happen, we sit back and we wait to see what the evidence is before we start throwing out every conspiracy theory in the world. And we don't throw out conspiracy theories anyway, but we just believe in pumping the brakes. You know, when I didn't want to see what happened to Charlie Kirk at all. I wanted to see Charlie Kirk's ideas laughed into oblivion. That's what I wanted to see. I just wanted to see them laughed off the stage. I just wanted to see him become a laughingstock. I didn't want to see the man die the way that he did. But we have always been of the nature to say, wait a minute, before we say anything, before we say they did this, let's wait and see. But Melissa Hortman lost her life. She was assassinated in her home, along with her husband and her dog. And I didn't hear Meidas say one word. I didn't see flags lowered at half staff. They made jokes about it. They laughed about it. But now they're doxing anyone who makes a joke about Charlie Kirk. You can't make this shit up. It's absolutely ridiculous that we're here. I can't even wrap my brain around it. Sometimes I literally sit here and I say, okay, I see this. We have to talk about it. But how the hell do you make sense out of something this insane? But that's the world that we're living in. We live in a world where a voice of reason sounds like sour grapes, and we live in a world where one side is going, we don't want a war. We want to get to the root cause of it. We want to get down to the radicalization of these young men and understand it. And we want to see change in this country, and we want to see gun reform, and we want to see violence put to an end. We want to live in a peaceful society where we can exchange ideas. But we don't want to live in a world where we're stoking the fire, and stoking the fire is not calling something what it is by definition. So one more time for those in the back that says you shouldn't use the word authoritarian, think about what I just talked about, and then here's the definition of authoritarian. Favoring the strict obedience to authority, especially at the expense of personal freedom. And the definition of fascism is a governmental system led by a dictator, having complete power, forcibly suppressing opposition, George Soros, and criticism, regimenting all industry, commerce, etc., and emphasizing an aggressive nationalism and often racism. Now, they own that they're nationalists. They're proud of that. They say, what's wrong with that? But suppressing opposition and criticism, regimenting all industry and commerce, we're going after them, we're investigating them. So by definition, that's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to stoke the fire. I've always said I'll be more than happy to shake your hand if you'll unclench your fist. But I want to thank y'all so much for supporting what it is that we do here on the channel. We're living through one of the worst years of my lifetime. I got to say, as far as what's going on in society. This 2025 is one for the books. And we don't want to see any more violence. And we didn't want to see Charlie Kirk lose his life that way. I've really, it's really, the whole thing has really weighed hard on me, if I'm being honest with you. The whole thing has really weighed hard on me because all I ever wanted to see was his ideas laughed off the stage. I wanted to see, like, you remember those little cassette tapes? We all had cassette decks back in the day. Do y'all remember, like, when you go in like a gas station and you see some artist that one time had a #1 hit, but now they're just over here in this little dust bin? You know, you walk over here and you buy a little cheap cassette. And, oh, yeah, I remember this guy. It should have just been that. It shouldn't have been him losing his life the way that he did. We denounce violence, and we condemn violence. And if it's one of our own, we will absolutely condemn them, call them out and say, it's bullshit. You don't represent our movement. You don't represent who we are. You don't represent democracy, and you don't represent freedom. But they can't do that. It's always they did this to us. People screaming and losing their mind. Look what they did before they even have any information. And all you have to say to get every one of them to just march in line is, we're going to get George Soros. And they'll walk right with it. It's absolutely insane, but we'll keep doing the best we can. And I appreciate y'all so much for your support here on the channel.